Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is Wednesday. Tomorrow's the NFL draft. Put two and two together. It's the final mock draft Wednesday. The journey is over. It's led up to here. With the first overall pick, the Bears will be selecting Caleb Williams. We're going to actually talk about Caleb Williams this time instead of just saying, oh, he's a first overall pick, whatever. The most elite improviser probably of all time in the draft. That's a good thing. The really bad thing and the knock on him is that when his not good USC offensive line decides to actually block for their Heisman winning trophy quarterback, he would still kind of get out of the pocket and he would still try to play hero ball. This is a coachable thing too. It's not like the worst thing, but he plays hero ball a lot. Had to a lot at USC, and it was a legit good reason, but there's a lot of times that he had an open receiver. He had time in the pocket. He was getting out, making bad plays. It's a coachable thing. He's gonna be going in as a rookie. Obviously, he's a fucking college player, but still, it's a coachable thing. It's just a little knock on him. He's not perfect, but he's still the number one pick. Number two, I would select Drake May. I think the gap between Drake May and Caleb Williams is closer than the gap between Drake May and Jaden Daniels, but it just seems like the odds are so high for him to be drafted there. There's been rumors swirling Daniels is going to be Washington's quarterback. And it's not the worst selection. He led the entirety of FBS, not FBS, at least for NFL draft selections or draft declared quarterbacks. And on target percentage at 76%. It's higher than Drake May at by 4%, who was second. That's 7% higher than Caleb Williams. If you want to throw in the accurate guys, it's a lot higher than Nix and a lot higher than Penix too. That's really good. He also makes plays on with his legs better than any quarterback in this draft. That's also very good. Problems. Did not throw over the middle of the field a lot. Is that because of him? Or is that because of LSU? You really don't know. I forgot I lost the words for LSU too. And his age. I don't remember if I mentioned his age. I trailed off with the LSU thing. Age and throwing over the middle of the field were his biggest issues. 5-year starter too is going to get a lot of 5 years. Did he start all 5 years? I know he started his freshman year at ASU. I don't remember if he started every year of his career. I'm pretty sure he has. And it's a way better fit than May too. That's the thing. Kingsbury is now in Washington. He never threw over the middle. Threw over the middle of the field. He didn't do it when he had Kyler. He didn't do it in college. And it's a better fit. That's the really big thing here. Daniels fits better in Washington than Drake May, who's going to be my next pick. I love Drake May. He's my favorite quarterback prospect of all time. I've kind of glazed the shit out of him through this process. So, I just talked about that Daniels has the highest statistical accuracy. But May, I think, is just a more accurate quarterback. Stats aren't everything, even though on target percentage is a really good stat. Drake May, I think, is more accurate. He also kind of had played hero ball a lot. He also played behind a terrible offensive line. He didn't have great weapons. Williams at least had the weapons. He had like Brendan Rice going to the NFL. Zachariah Branch will go into the NFL. More guys who are going to the NFL. May had one guy going to the NFL in Tez Walker, and he didn't even have him the whole year. His biggest knock is that he didn't win. He won 8 games after they went 5-0 or something. I don't remember what they started. They were top 10 in the country. They only won 8 games, won 8-5. Without him, 5-7. He's the reason they were that good, or not that good, even good, like decent to begin with. Next, Arizona. This is where honestly the draft gets very interesting at 3 with New England possibly trading down. I think they stick. It gets more interesting at 4 if they don't trade down. Or even if they do, because there's still 4 quarterbacks. I just think Arizona's asking for too much. They have reported 3 first-round picks, which is a lot. And, if you don't, then they're like, okay, we're fine taking Marvin Harrison Jr. That's fine with us. We need receiver. We don't need to trade down. It's whatever. And you could say the same thing about the Chargers. Hey, we need receiver. We don't need to trade down. But I think someone's gonna do it. Someone's gonna trade down. I'm gonna have it be LA. And JJ McCarthy who had a great situation in Michigan, which is a big knock on him. He's going to have a really good situation in Minnesota, better than Williams, Daniels, and May will have in New England, Chicago, and Washington. He's going to have Justin Jefferson, the number one receiver in the NFL. Jordan Addison coming off a great rookie year. TJ Hawkinson, a top 5 tight end in the NFL. Really good offensive mind and a really good coach in Kevin McConnell, plus a really good offensive line with 2 established tackles, which is not a lot of rookie quarterbacks can say, and Brian O'Neill and Christian Darrisaw. That is a great situation for him to win. He's a winning player. If he does not succeed in Minnesota, it was not meant to be. And for the Giants, I've been going back and forth between Malik Nabers and Rome Odunze. I don't know which one. They are so even, and I always was kind of saying that if any of the 3 of Harrison, Nabers, and Odunze, all S-tier wide receiver prospects, one of them messed up, like off the field, that's it. They're below the rest of the 3. And Nabers did. He messed up off the field, the gun on Bourbon Street, a lot of reports of big cities. And so I'm kind of going against my word, drafting him to a big city. But I think just the player is just too good that you may just have to ignore it. It could be Odunze, it could be Nabers. I have no idea, but I'm going Nabers. Alt to Tennessee is the most obvious pick of the entire NFL draft, besides Caleb Williams at 1 and Jaden Daniels at 2, I guess. But Dan Drake May at 3. Yeah, I know, I'm kind of 3 quarterbacks, whatever. Super obvious, super good fit, super athletic, really technically sound. They need a lot of help on the offensive line. This does not need to be a receiver. They just got Calvin Ridley, paid him a bag, $95 million over 5 years, 4 years? I don't remember. And they have DeAndre Hopkins, so they don't need wide receiver. Protect Will Levis. Please protect your franchise quarterback. Atlanta, trade down spot. A lot of trade down spots in this draft. I think 3, 4, 5, 8, and 9 are all big trade down spots. I don't even want to even rule out the Giants trading down. I've seen trade offers, mock trades with Pat Surtain and them trading down. I would love that as a Giants fan. I think there's a world where the Giants trade down. I just don't think it's this world, honestly. Could be, though. Dallas Turner fits really well into the Falcons scheme of a 3-4. Super athletic. He's just small. That's it. He's only 6'3", 200, low 200 pounds. That's really it. Besides that, he's probably going to be the first defensive player drafted. Next, Bears. I don't know what to do with this pick. I think with Odunze, it makes it easier, or else I would probably have taken Verse, but Odunze. He's really good at breaking the press. He's elite at breaking the press. Press. He has elite body control, too. And he was mainly a deep guy at Washington, and he just turned it up a level this year. And he can also be the number 2 receiver over Nabers. It's one of the 2. I really don't know. It's a toss-up. It's a coin flip. Next, the Jets. I think this is either Brock Bowers or Talisa Fuaga. I'm going to go with Brock Bowers. Get Aaron Rodgers, an elite playmaker. You can use Brock Bowers in so many ways. It's so rare you can have a tight end who you can have catching screens and taking them for 45-yard touchdowns, but that's just who Brock Bowers is. And with the Chargers, they're kind of sitting there like, oh, okay. They draft Fuaga, let's draft Bowers. They draft Bowers, let's draft Fuaga. They draft Bowers, let's draft Fuaga. Fuaga fits really well for what Jim Harbaugh has wanted to do, which is pounding the fucking rock. He can go play guard for you. He can play tackle. In this situation, he would probably play right tackle for the Chargers. Maybe not right away. Maybe he plays guard right away. Still, there's going to find a way to use him right away. Maul in the run game, perfect fit in LA. I've had them drafting Byron Murphy for most of this, and then I kind of switched up and went edge. Switched up again yesterday and decided to give them Quinion Mitchell. The athletic upside is off the charts. Denver needs corner. Quinion Mitchell, I was always on the Quinion Mitchell train this entire year. When I was like, oh, he could definitely be a first-round pick. We're at the point where I'm on the train that he can be a top 12 pick. Next, the Raiders. Tackle. This is a tackle. I'm going to go with Fashu. Maybe the best pure pass blocker in this draft. He could have been a top 5, top 10 pick last year. Kind of falls off after coming for his senior year at Penn State. Not falls off enough that he's still a top 15 pick, though. Again, not the same player, but the same athletic upside for these two players that they can, and same ceiling, that they can be really, really, really high-end tackles in this league. Both, polarizing. Polarizing may not be the right word, but high, really just both Fashanu and Latham, very high upside. Both need tackle. New Orleans, they know they have Ryan Ramczyk. I know they just drafted Trevor Penning, 2 years ago, to be one of their franchise right tackle or franchise left tackle. Ramczyk has now a degenerative, not degenerative, I don't think, some knee issue that could prove serious or prove like career ending. And then Trevor Penning hasn't been all that. They need tackle no matter what with Ramczyk being injured or not being injured, and that injury not being serious. But if it is, then they need both tackle spots. Colts get them the best corner. Brock Bowers isn't on the board to make them interesting. They could go wide receiver. I don't think they will. Terrion Arnold, really aggressive, best pure corner in the draft. The only kind of problem is that does not make him top 10 pick. It's just testing his athleticism. Played better on tape, but he only ran like a 4.66, which is not great. Next, Seattle. Every mock draft since it's been Troy Fautanu. He would play guard for them. Seattle connection, kind of nice. They have Lucas and Cross, so that's why they would play guard. Injuries happen in the NFL all the time. He can play tackle in that situation. Next, Jaguars. They're probably crying that both Arnold and Mitchell's off the board. Corner is such a big need for them. They just lost their best one, is Darius Williams. But that's fine. Brian Thomas Jr. sitting right there. 6'2", 200 pounds. Flyers down the field. Led FBS in touchdowns. I know stats, whatever, for draft picks. Still pretty impressive. No, a lot of that is because Malik Neighbors was on this team and getting more of the focus. Ryan Thomas Jr. still certainly a top 20 pick. Maybe falls off to like LAC here, but I don't know. And you just lose Calvin Ridley. Get him to play alongside Christian Kirk. Next, Bengals. They need interior really, really, really badly. I know Johnny Newton is a better fit because they really need more of a pass rusher, but if Byron Murphy's here, way too talented. He's the definition of low man wins. Sometimes on tape, he's damn near on his knees getting double teamed, and he's making tackles against running backs. It's crazy. But the thing is his biggest strength is kind of his biggest flaw. He gets too low. He gets knocked on his ass a little. That's my only, knock on him. He's still such a great player. I think he's worth taking, even though if you don't need that certain type of player. Next, Rams, edge rusher for sure. It's a versus a Latu. I'm going to go Latu. He's the best defensive player in the draft, period. It's just the heart issue. Had to medically retire at Washington, comes to UCLA. Could be in that Jalen Phillips role. Or not Jalen Phillips role, but Jalen Phillips type player. He also medically retired at Miami, or at UCLA, and then went to Miami. I don't remember if he was drafted at 17 or 19. This was the range he was drafted in, though. I think it just kind of ends up being the same situation in LA. Next, for Steelers, they need offensive line help. I've had them drafting Jackson Powers Johnson. Kind of may switch that up and have JPJ fall, but they just need help anywhere. He would probably play guard for the Steelers too. Next, the Dolphins, you just lose a guard. Let's draft you another guard. Back-to-back guards. Back-to-back interior offensive lineman, Graham Barton. No, he's going to project more of a center in the NFL. He can play everywhere. He can play tackle. He can play guard. He can play center. Probably more likely than not going to be one of the interior spots. In this situation for Miami, he would play guard and replace Robert Hunt, who just went to the Panthers. Next, Eagles. Historically, they love their big guys. They love drafting in the trenches. They need corner really badly, though, and they usually don't do it. And I would always have them drafting corner and say, screw drafting a big guy in this situation. But with Jared Verse on the board, you may just have to say, who cares? You just, traded? You did just trade away Hassan Reddick, right? Now I'm going crazy. Pretty sure they did to the Jets, right? Yeah. So you need help on the edge more. Jared Verse is a really good player, and he falls all the way to 22. He can be drafted as high as 9, and you're getting him at 22. He's just kind of a faller in this draft, at least in my mock. Next, Chargers, Adonai Mitchell. 6'2", 200 pounds, 205 pounds if we want to get specific. Shit. He ran a 4.35, 40-inch vertical, or near, I don't remember, it's like 39.5, 40.5. We really are getting specific. 11-foot broad jump. That's what I care about, and a good route runner, especially for what his role, more of his role is as like a more of a jump ball receiver, and that's really what he was purely at Georgia, and then at Texas his route tree did expand. The really big thing is his effort concerns. He said literally said himself, this is not on tape, that he only plays at 85% so he can play entire drives. And I just really don't know what to think of that. That's not NFL scouts aren't gonna like that. I can tell you that. You know, a lot of the times you see guys fall for two reasons. You have injuries and you have effort. Like Christian Gonzalez last year, there's a love of football. I don't know if this really classifies as that because I'm not in NFL rooms and I cannot tell you what they think of guys with low effort. I think he's still going to be a first round pick. I don't think it's going to be that bad, but it's really the reason he's not a top 20 pick. Next, Cowboys tackle Marius Mims. Only played 8 games. That's really concerned, but he has humongous, has athletic upside, and usually guys like that are not as technically sound and mature at, especially at a position like tackle than a Marius. But if he's healthy, that's a top 10 player and a tackle. That's crazy. He can, I don't know, he could go higher than this, but that's just kind of where I have him. Next, Packers, they need defensive back more than anything. Get Cooper DeJean. He's a really good football player. Football player, not just corner, football player. Crazy good return man, crazy athletic, corner safety. Was reported to be starting to prepare to play offense at Iowa. Breaks his leg. It's kind of going to be a reason he falls, not a top 20 pick. He could, though. He could. I think he could go early as like 15 to the Colts. Depending on where like Terry and Arnold and whatever his face, Quentin Mitchell's drafted. Buccaneers have a lot of holes. Fill your biggest one, Demaryius Robinson, a lot of athletic upside. Cardinals, they need help everywhere on defense. Johnny Newton, you know, a lot of pass rushing upside. Pretty fast too, especially he's just fast, and a lot of the times at Illinois, he was just out speeding them. That's not the right word. His speed was just too much, and he's in the backfield a lot of the times. Only thing is, his size was a lot better in college than it's going to be in the NFL. He's like 6'1", 300 pounds. Projection to the NFL is really like cruel to think about, and I don't know like how he's going to play in the NFL. Next, Bills, Ladd McConkey. I think the 6 corners that I have drafted so far are these top 6 corners. I don't know who the 7th corner is, but Ladd McConkey is just really good at getting open. Bills have no one at wide receiver. Curtis Samuel cannot be your number 1 wide receiver if you were trying to not only make the NFL playoffs, and make the fucking Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl. Next, Lions. I've had them drafting Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think they still could. I think if Nate Wiggins is still on the board, it can be him. I think Ennis Rakestraw is an option here. I'm going to have Nate Wiggins because of the athletic upside. He ran a 4.29. Next, Ravens. They need tackle. Tyler Guyton is still on the board. Feels like a really good fit. Get a little Oklahoma tackle to fill in for another Oklahoma tackle once Ronnie Stanley inevitably gets hurt. We pray for health, though. We don't want anybody getting hurt. Next, 49ers. I'm also going tackle. Jordan Morgan, certainly an option. That's who they suggested. But I've had them drafting Kingsley Suamataia because his upside is through the roof. Him and Kieran Agbonbaje have a lot of really high ceilings but really low floors. Final pick. I'm gonna make it. I had Tez Walker recently. I've done Troy Franklin. I've done Xavier Worthy. Done Ladd McConkey. This situation, I'm gonna have it be Keon Coleman. Was a top 10-ish pick going into halfway through the year, the midpoint of the year. Fell off. Production fell through the floor. Fell off. Just fell off. His production fell off. Second half of the year, but he still has super high athleticism. And if you get beginning of the year Keon Coleman, that's a steal, especially at pick 32. Chiefs deep receiver after the Rashee Rice situation, he's gonna get suspended. So during that first part of the year, you're gonna need a guy, and Keon Coleman can hopefully kind of re-spark that magic with Rashee Rice. A rookie receiver comes in and becomes your number 1. So that's it for mock drafts. This is certainly not going to be what my mock draft looks like. Probably going to make changes. My final mock draft will be posted on my Discord server. Link will be in the description. Please join up. It's a lot of fun. Thank you, guys.